This is what it's all about. Many people say, why are you doing this? It's for a plastic trophy. It's not for a plastic trophy. It's to prove to yourself that you can do it. That if you put your mind to it, that you can accomplish anything. Coach Greg, in today's video, Will Tennyson has reached his final form. 200 days of dieting all comes down to this one very moment. The moment he's been waiting for, that he's been dieting for, that he's been training his entire life. All the work has been done. Time to go and have some fun. And remember, this is what it's all about. Many people say, why are you doing this? It's for a plastic trophy. It's not for a plastic trophy. It's to prove to yourself that you can do it. That if you put your mind to it, that you can accomplish it. And he is in fact right. You're only up on stage for perhaps a couple of minutes, but Will, he dieted his ass off, almost quite literally, for 7 straight months, and he did so while being 100% natural. Exactly, and I did in fact give Will this exact advice. During his prep, he said, look, there's so much pressure. People are expecting me to win. I said, by stepping on stage, you've already won. Perhaps only 1% of the population can even make it to the stage. And based on what I saw from the start of his journey all the way to the point where he stepped on the stage, Will greatly exceeded everyone's expectations. If you would have asked me if Will could get down to 4.8% body fat, that he would diet for 200 days in order to get up on stage, I would have thought, there's no way. But he proved everyone that even if you're natural, even if you don't have perhaps the best genetics in the world, that you can actually do it. To all the haters, guys are saying, Will, he's not natural. That Will perhaps only won because of his following. Did you in fact look at Will on stage? Did you watch his dieting? Did you see how amazing he looked? He's 6 feet tall, perhaps weighed about 173 pounds. I certainly think that with over 10 years of training, he could have in fact that much muscle. And if you compare him on stage next to his opponents, he was a very clear and dominant victor. He won by a mile. It wasn't close. It wasn't because he has 3+ million followers. It was because he deserved it. And how do you think he got to that point? He dieted his ass off. He trained harder than last time. He did everything to show up on stage at his best, and his best is what he was. And so from the moment I saw Will at the Gymshark event, when he was the talk of the event, everyone was saying, what happened to Will? But remember, he started at over 200 pounds, almost 205, and he dieted down over 30+ pounds to get down to 173. And so not only did I expect Will to win his weight class, I was thinking this guy's going to take the overall and earn his WNBF pro card. And so Will, he didn't deserve this. Several people commenting, trying to dim his light, trying to take away from the fact that this guy actually deserved it. Why would you say that? Did you actually watch the competition? Did you compare him to his competitors? Because now let's look at the best of the best, the 2 pro card winners. And so Will, the taller of the two, clearly, you can see he's way bigger. Way more muscle. And so to his right, I could say, yes, he perhaps has much more developed calves. Based on what I can see here, I think he has better calves than Will Tennyson, but that's essentially where it stops. Let's now compare the quads. Notice the sheer size and the mass of Will Tennyson's quads in comparison to the other pro card winner. It's night and day. Literally, I believe Will has more muscle in one of his quads than his competitor does in both. Next, we can see the man to his right, he does in fact have a smaller waist. But remember, he is shorter and he has less muscle, and so most of the time when you see this, they of course are going to have a smaller waist. The more muscle you have on your body, most oftentimes that comes with slightly larger waist. Both men, clearly you can see they have abdominals. Remember, this is not them posing harder than last time. And if you look at the biceps, the shoulders, Will clearly has more muscle, perhaps more definition. Going into the pecs, Will's pecs are much greater in size and have more definition. And the traps as well, Will clearly beating him out in that area. And everyone knows once you turn to the rear, it's lights out. This is Will's strength. The detail in Will Tennyson's back, it's phenomenal. It was as lean as Sam Sulek, and Sam Sulek is not even natural. And so if it was close from the front, it's not going to be close from the back, and I'm telling you, it isn't close from the front. And so this, in my eyes, A clearly dominant victory.
Will Tennyson at 5% body fat going into his show? I really don't think so. And the reason is the legs.
And so TNF, he had some strong opinions of Will Tennyson throughout this competition, saying, Will, he wasn't lean enough. I trained with Will. I was in person looking at him, and I'm telling you, bro was shredded. Now, could his legs have been a little bit leaner? Yes. But that's because of his genetics. Will's body fat stores, when he loses weight, it comes from his upper body. I'm telling you, when I competed, Will's back was leaner than mine. I've done 59 competitions, and the Christmas tree, the details, the striations, the skin fold thickness on his back was leaner than me even when I was enhanced. And so, although, yes, he does carry more body fat in his lower half, his back was peeled, truly shredded.
Clearly, Will is in the middle. As you can see, Will is just a larger human being than these two, and he competed in open bodybuilding, where mass is very heavily prioritized.
And so when you compare Will to the other competitors in his class, he's both leaner and bigger. When you're bigger and leaner than someone, I mean, how are they going to beat you? Will is clearly winning in this pose. It's not even close. It's the kind of dominant victory where as soon as he comes out, I've already marked Will as a champion.
This is really, really good. Like, our expectations have been just blown out of proportion by seeing the top level pros all the time.
And so I think he does have a point. We've seen guys like Sam Sulik or Chris Bumstead, and you're thinking, well, Will, he could have been leaner. Those are enhanced professional bodybuilders. A natural bodybuilder, it's not normal for them to compete looking like that. Remember, I did 42 shows natural, and I'm telling you, when I was in stage, I was never this lean. I never hit 4.8% body fat on the skin fold calipers, and so to me, he brought it, he nailed it.
So Will, if you see this, do another show. An additional few weeks to a month and a half of dieting. I think we could see something pretty crazy.
All right, okay, I need to explain something to everyone. Will's peeled. If Will diets for 6 more weeks, what we're going to see is Will lose 6 weeks worth of muscle. He's peeled. Now, you're thinking, but his legs aren't shredded. There's no Christmas tree zipper line going up and down. But here's the thing. These photos are from afar. Depending on all these factors, you're going to see much more or much less definition. Will doesn't need to diet for 6 weeks. He doesn't need to diet for 2 or even 1. Now, I do believe there is a WNBF Pro show coming up, and so perhaps we'll see him in another competition. But if there is one critique that I'm going to make, I do believe that he potentially may have slightly spilled over. When you go through a peak week and you carb deplete for 4 consecutive days, that is a lot. But the danger is if you start adding in carbs too soon, sometimes you can miss the peak and not arrive on stage at 100% your best. And so it is, in fact, possible that if Will had a carb 1 day later, he might have been even better. But remember, he looked incredible. He won by a mile. And so how can we sit here and criticize and say, oh, he blew his peak week? He won the show by a lot. And so credit to Will Tennyson and credit to his coach. He did it. He won. That was the goal. The gyno gives it all away in all those side shots. What gyno? And even if there was gyno, there are many people that gyno from puberty or even before that. For example, Hussein Farhat. First met him and said, hey, you do in fact have some gyno. That is a little bit suspicious. His response, I've always had it. Looked better in his social media photos. Surprise, surprise. Every single person looks better in social media photos than they do on stage. When we post social media photos, we take the best photo of the best and we post them. We take the best angle, we get a great pump, we have the right food before we go on stage. Everything is perfect. The stars have aligned. Greg says he's 4.8% body fat. Do you disagree? Will Tennyson was tested using skin fold calipers, the Lang skin fold calipers. These are the exact calipers that I use. And I saw the millimeters that were added. Are these calipers 100% accurate? No, they're plus or minus perhaps 2%. And Will, perhaps he could have been leaner or could have been a little bit fatter. And so I do believe his body fat is probably getting closer to 6%, probably 5 point whatever. Responses like, this is 7 to 9%. I had leaner legs at 10%, striations, veins all over the place. I do believe that social media has completely brainwashed people into not knowing what body fats actually look like. If a man is standing relaxed, sticking his stomach out, not flexing, you're probably thinking, oh, bro who's actually 8%, he's probably 15. Well, let's just see. And so I'm 8.1% body fat. I'm going to stand and you're going to see. Do I look like 8% body fat when I stand up like this? And so does that look shredded? I don't think so. But what if I flex? And so just because you see a photo from afar and you're thinking, well, I don't see cross striations everywhere, bro isn't actually shredded. Why are you judging from that photo? Why don't you look at his other photo? Look at his back. Christmas tree everywhere. You can't invent Christmas tree striations. You can't just put your phone here or phone there and say, wow, you are striated everywhere. You're either striated or you're not. Some photos are going to show it with the proper lighting, and some photos are not. Was the stage photos perfection? Of course they weren't. But trust me, I saw him in person, and you can't fake striations when you're standing right next to them in person. And so one thing I notice is that when people do competitions, or in general, when people post anything, they remember the haters. And so even for Will, he sees the people in the comment section saying the negative things, talking about the gyno, you're not natural, you only won because of your status. This isn't true. I would say 99% of the people posting are huge fans and very, very positive, and it is great to see. And so from my survey, 10% still don't believe that Will is actually natural. That means 90% of you believe in Will. And the 10% who don't, that is just a compliment to how good Will actually is. He's so good that people don't believe that it's possible. And so from the millions of people that watched him, 90% believe that you can do this while being natural. And so imagine how many young athletes out there are going to not use steroids because of what Will has accomplished. He didn't just show up and do I8, bro killed it. And so if you're on the fence thinking, I have to do it, I need to do this, I want to be a social media influencer, I need to get the physique of my dreams, I need to do it right now. Will did it and he's natural, and look how great he did. And remember, if you are in fact trying to stay natural, I am your T-plug. And so I would strongly recommend Turk Builder Max as well as Geo2 Max. I'm telling you, this is way better than creatine. To compare it to creatine, it's not even fair. Creatine, it has no chance. It's so much better than creatine. And yeah, you're gonna say, yeah, but creatine has studies. The studies on creatine, they show that it works a little bit. Perhaps it adds 1, maybe 2 kilograms of muscle. The people that are using this, and no, I'm not going to name all these celebrity names, they cannot believe it. When somebody's 100% natural and they're a skeptic and they give it a try and they say it greatly exceeded expectations, way better, there's no way that it doesn't work. I take their word for it, but you know what's even better than that? I've used it myself. My brothers use it, his wife, my girlfriend, and so I know that it works. And remember, the testing that we've done, that others have done, prove that it is what it is. But hey, if you don't trust me, money back guarantee and a $20 gift card. And if you want to compare it to other competitors who sell you fake Ajuga, well, by all means, go use the fake stuff. If you want actual Ajuga, click the link in the description. Remember, Will Tennyson used this throughout his program. I don't sponsor Will. He could have used whatever he wants. He chose to use my brand, not the others. And so why do you think that that is? And so when it does get back in stock, code Greg 15% off. But for now, go to the website, click on the SMS notification so that you're on a VIP list, and you'll get it 3 hours before it's listed so that you can buy it before it sells out. Let's be honest. Will would never have won if he wasn't a gigantic YouTube influencer. The bodybuilding space and community, sadly, is the new WWE universe. I mean, perhaps he's just trolling. Like, does he actually genuinely believe this? Well, if he does, he's a moron. I mean, I've been saying for years that most of my subs are morons. This just actually proves it. Because if he was to actually sit and compare him to the other competitors, is there any way that he could actually say, you know, Will shouldn't have won? I mean, really? But let's go with that. Let's use that as an argument. Remember when Jesse competed? Remember when he got second place? And I made a video titled, Jesse didn't deserve this because I thought he actually won. To me, it was very close, but I thought that Jesse was in fact the winner. But yet they gave Jesse second. If social media status caused you to win the competition, how did Jesse not win that competition? And so to wrap this up, the way I see it is this. No matter what would have happened, there were going to be some haters. If he was too good, you'd have said, not possible natural. If he wasn't good enough, you'd have said, Will sucks. And so imagine Will having to overcome all those challenges. And so Will, he competed because he wanted it bad enough. And so if you're debating entering a bodybuilding competition, Will's entire journey, it's been documented. He did an excellent job of explaining exactly what it's like to diet. I've done these diets more than almost anyone else, and I can tell you that what Will is describing, it's 100% accurate, explaining how hard it actually is. And so until you've done it, you don't know what it's like. Will now knows. And so if I talk to Will and say, how was it? How was peak week? How much did you suffer? Will, he understands. Those of you who don't compete, you'll never get it. You might think, oh yeah, I know, I dropped 20 kilos one year. I cut out burgers and fries. I did 10 hours cardio a week. That's nothing. When you diet down to 5% body fat, it's a different level of suffer. Your brain doesn't work effectively. You don't know what you're doing. Your entire life, it changes. Your personality, it changes. And you know what? It's even worse when you're on steroids. As much as Will suffered while being natural, if he were on performance-enhancing drugs, it would literally get even worse. You're thinking, no, it would make it easier. No, it wouldn't. If Will said, hey, I'm doing another show and I'm going on trend. Will went from winning against natural bodybuilders, and now who does he have to compete against? He's going to be compared to Sam Sulek, and so without 50 plus pounds of muscle, you're going to think, oh, he's too small. And unless he shows up with cross-striated quads, glutes, and so on, you're going to think, oh, he was soft. And as hard as it was to sleep while being natural, imagine when you're on transomnia, or imagine how much it can alter your mind. You're on higher levels of testosterone, all of this stuff, and it can completely confuse the way you're thinking. And so if you've never competed before, at least start out by doing it natural. Once you've done one competition, you can then decide, is this a sport for me? Do you even like it? Because until you've competed on stage, you might think, oh, I love to be a bodybuilder. Yeah, everyone wants to be a bodybuilder, and the saying from Ronnie is, but nobody want to lift any heavy-ass weights.
Everybody want to be a bodybuilder. Right. So nobody want to lift this heavy-ass weight.
The actual saying is everyone want to be a bodybuilder, but no one wants to diet down to 4.8% body fat. And so my suggestion, hey, leave competing to those who really, truly want it. And if you're on the fence, you don't want it. If you're thinking, maybe I should compete, you shouldn't. You should be thinking, I can't wait to compete. I can't wait to show what I can do. I can't wait to prove to myself that I can do it. It's like climbing Mount Everest. Once you place that flag, it's a feeling like no other. And so, yeah, he dieted for 200 days, but those 2, perhaps 5 minutes on stage, it can make everything worth it. You proved that you can do it. You overcame an obstacle that perhaps only 1% of the world could do. Now, if you're looking for a coach, I've dramatically lowered my prices. I go over your blood work, I give you your weekly updates, the diet, the training, everything. And so if you're interested, click the link in the description and apply today. Remember, I'm not accepting just everyone. It has to make sense for me. I do this for fun. If you have no money, get to the website, get the free diet and training program. Remember, I want fitness to be available for everyone. I'm here in Malta promoting how the country now has free gym memberships for people age 18, 19, and 20. 6 months gyms are free. Let's make this happen in Canada, the United States, and around the world. Subscribe, click the bell button, comment to boost the algorithm. Please like the video if you liked it. Don't forget to watch Will's final form video when he does in fact post it. And until next time, I am out.